The grammar in Chapter 6b has to do with question words, or Fragewörter. This is a nice extension of what we just came off of in Chapter 5. There's a couple confusing ones, and strictly because we Americans don't use them properly in English. But they make perfect grammar sense if you've done Chapter 5 grammar, knowing all the cases. In the first question, Wer hat heute nicht verstanden? I'm asking about the subject. I don't know who has not understood something. Who's not understanding? So I'm going to ask wer because I'm referring or trying to inquire about the subject. Who's verbing? Who's not understanding? In the second example, the subject is already known. The du is in the question. What I'm trying to find out is the person being visited. That's my question. Who is being visited? The du is already known. So I'm trying to find the direct object. When I'm trying to find the direct object, I'm referring to accusative case, in which case I'm going to ask wen. In the third example, again, the subject is known. He's giving something. What's being given? The necklace. That's the direct object. The subject and the direct object are both known. I'm trying to find out to whom is he giving the necklace. When I say to myself to whom, I'm in the indirect object case, which is dative. In which case I'll ask, wem hat die Halskette gegeben? Looking at these first three examples, the subject case sounds like der. The direct object question word sounds like den. And the indirect object question word sounds like dem. Okay, that should help you out. That should give you a clue. But really what you're trying to do is to try to find out who are you inquiring about. Do you want to find out who the subject is, who the direct object is, or to or for whom the indirect object? Wessen is a word meaning whose, and it's always followed by a noun. This is a really easy one. It's showing possession. If you're not asking whose brother, whose car, whose homework, if it's not followed by a noun, then whose is not your question word. It's got to show possession. And finally, was is rather simple too, simply because was refers to something other than a person. Can't be a person, you're referring to an object. Let's take a look at some examples. On the handout you've been given, there are four examples, and I want you to simply choose between wer and wen. Those are your only choices. The way to understand this is to look at number one, and is there a subject in the sentence? Is there somebody who is inviting? Yeah? So in this case, I would say yes, the subject is there. We know the subject. We're not going to inquire about the subject, so we're going to be inquiring about who has been invited, in which case I would choose wen with an N. Whom did he invite? Okay. Nummer zwei, I look at Nummer zwei and I say, is there a subject in the sentence? Do we know the person that is doing the verb, the going? The answer to that is no, so I'm looking for the subject. I would choose wer. In number three, again, I look, is there a subject in this question? I can't find one, so I would choose wer. In number four, am I looking for a subject? I see one, it's du, so I know who's calling. Whom is being called? So I would choose wen. In these next four examples, I'd like you to choose between wer, wen, and wem. Okay. In the first one, I look for the subject. Yep, there is one. It's er. He's giving something. Next question, what's being given? Oh, the book. So I know the subject and I know the direct object. To whom? That's the part I don't know. That's the dative question word. The answer would be wem. In the second example, I'm looking for the subject. The verb is to need. Who needs something? Can't find one, so I'm looking for the subject. I would choose wer. The third example is rather tricky. The verb is fragt, to ask. Are you going to say who asks the student, or whom does the student ask? You must say to yourself, who is doing this verb right here? In this case, that word der is going to give you your clue. That word der is the subject case. That's nominative. So that must be the subject. That means the student must be doing the asking. In which case, this question word would not be wer, because I already know the subject. It would be wen. Wen fragt der Schüler, meaning whom does the student ask? On the flip side of that, if this word der Schüler had been den Schüler with an N, then I knew that that was the direct object, in which case this word would be wer. Number 4 is also rather tricky. There's a du here, so we know the subject. It looks like we're trying to find the direct object. Whom do you believe? Which is the correct way to phrase that, except that glauben is a dative verb. Because of dative verbs, our question word will be wem. Here's some more of your homework or your handout paper. This has all the choices on: wer, wen, wem, wessen, und was. In the first example, you'll notice that the blank is followed by a noun. When that happens, I need to be asking whose shirt. I can't say who shirt, whom shirt, to whom shirt, or what shirt. I would be saying whose shirt. Okay? So the correct answer to number 1 is wessen Hemd. In the second example, not followed by a noun. Okay? You'll notice that I've also underlined glauben. That's just keep you thinking, where are those dative verbs hiding? In number 2, there's a du. Okay? And glauben is a dative verb, as I've just said. So while you want to say, whom can you not believe? All right, I'm asking about, it sounds like a direct object, but it really is wem, because the glauben makes the object dative. In the third one, I'm asking, gibt's im Fernsehen? The only logical choice there is to say was. What's on TV? There are things on TV. All right. In number 4, I look at this. Don't see any dative verbs. There's a du. There's a question. So I know that you are meeting. That matches. The ST matches the du. You are meeting somebody. But I ask myself the question that would come next is, whom is being met? We don't know. That answers this question. Wen would be the correct answer because I'm looking for the direct object. In number 5, you'll notice the blank is followed by a noun. That's a trigger, all right? That should be wessen Handschuh, whose glove. Number 6, there's a subject. I can find it. There's no dative verb. There's a subject. And this to me looks dative. That looks like I already know something. He is saying to you. So what's being said? I'm not sure. That's what I'm inquiring about. Okay? It would seem to be that it's the direct object. But don't be fooled by wen, because would you really say whom did he say to you? Or would you say what did he say to you? The correct answer here would be what? Number 7. Is there a subject? Well, I've got a noun. I've got der Schüler. Is der Schüler the subject? Der is the nominative case. That would be the subject. Okay? You'd be easily fooled to put in here wen, the direct object, except that this verb is ist. And if I can remind you, when ist is your verb, that's a predicate noun, and both sides of the word sein, anytime you have the verb sein, on both sides of that sein, you'll be using the nominative case. In example number 8, I'm looking here. Du is a subject. You are writing. Next question. Who or what is being written? The letter. What I don't know is to whom. When I ask to whom, I'm in the dative case, in which case I should be choosing wem. In the 9th example, I'm looking for the subject. The person coming, can't find it. I must be inquiring about the subject. That would be wer. In number 10, I see a du. You are calling. The person being called, not there. I would choose wen with an N as in accusative. Whom have you called? In 11, I see a subject. Okay. I also see a dative verb. My verb is dative. Okay. What I'm really asking is, who have you helped? Not who, I apologize. Whom have you helped? And the whom is dative because of helfen. Wem habt ihr bei der Arbeit geholfen? In the final example, there's my subject. You are visiting. Who or what is being visited? I don't know. That's what I'm inquiring about. That answers the direct object question. That would be accusative. So my correct answer would be wen, rhyming with Dane. The rest you're on your own. Good luck.